That said, I realize that with my recent submission to the council last week, no, 2 weeks ago, I've spooked some people, and I was approached by Albany PD, and we had a discussion, and they were able to determine that I'm not really so much of a threat to anybody. I find a weird bit of irony in that I could be considered a potential threat to other people, heck, even the council, and possibly more so considering the expediency in which I was addressed in that matter. It is worrying to me that I might seem like I am more of a threat than a man who absolutely was involved with people that did some pretty dark things with children and is also in possession of our country's nuclear codes. I would like to strongly urge this council to form a committee. In that committee, all the council members are gathered together and you discuss the flood of recent events that have happened. Because as it stands right now, this room's basically empty. 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, the room was more or less empty. We have 8 months until the midterm elections happen in this country. And we are on the edge of a constitutional crisis. Some of the things that are happening in the federal government already were mentioned 2 weeks ago by Mr. Thompson. You're running out of money to handle homeless people. You are going to have a deluge of issues to deal with and a massively angry public that's going to be packing this room. You need to start thinking about that now and planning for contingencies.
Thank you. Mr. Price, are you available?
Yes, I am.
You have 3 minutes, sir. Please state your name and whether or not you live in the city of Albany.
My name is Nick Price, and I do live in the city of Albany. I was here, I believe, in late January, talking about taking a moral inventory of our police department. My major concern is that we are not behaving in a way that is rapid when faced with what we are being faced with. When you guys did your survey, I think there's something to note that faith in the police and sheriff department has dropped 10%. I think there's something to point at that you didn't sign the letter that the governor asked all the cities to sign. Corvallis and Salem didn't sign it, but they did later put out a statement that said that they agreed with it. I think the last thing I've seen that you said about it, Mr. Mayor, is that it was a little inflammatory. And I think that when you couple that with the flock camera issue, which I think you need to just get rid of them because I don't think that they stand up to the scruples of a federal subpoena. And I think that may put us in violation as a city of sanctuary laws in Oregon. I think that there's a little bit of disingenuousness to the way that the police chief answered the questions about the flock cameras last week, and saying that we had control of the data. And sure, in a technical way we might, but I do feel like it is better to err on the side of not using them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on tonight's agenda, Strategic Planning Engagement Update, SSW Consulting. It's a verbal information presentation.
Right.
Hello, Sarah.
Good evening. Hi there. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Delighted tonight to give you an update on the strategic plan process and some results of the engagement. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, as soon as I get access to do that. I just need somebody on the admin side to give me access so I can share the slides with you all, take you through these updates.
In there? Internet access, Matt? You'll be able to share.
And Mr. Mayor, while we're working
Okay.
that out, let me just make it for the record that Councilor Newton is in the meeting right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, for tonight's presentation, oops, we want to just make the couple goals that we have are to just reorient you to the strategic plan process. It's been a moment since we've last had the chance to check in and share with you. The engagement has been underway, and we appreciate the council's help and support and supporting that engagement and assisting with it. And so we are excited to share those results with you tonight. And then talk a little bit about the framework for the plan and how the pieces will come together and our next steps in the process. So again, just reorienting the strategic plan is engagement that results in unity around a mission, vision, values, and goals. We're seeking to set some shared goals through all of this collaborative discussion and really seeking to find, and especially in this next step, the alignment between the plans that you have internally that will guide the organization. So it's more than just a plan, it's those defined goals and actions that will really help to move the organization forward. We established some goals for this process. So the idea is to establish a long-term vision and goals for Albany. You guys are no stranger to this. You've had a strong culture of strategic planning for many years, and we want to continue to build on that. We're checking it, we're engaging and defining your values. And so we want to make sure that we're taking a look at the existing values, seeing how they currently align with the folks who work in your organization and the community that you're serving. We want to make sure we've got some strong measures and accountability practices in place so that you can not only hear from the community and the organization, but be able to track your progress over time. And overall, just foster a culture of strategic management. So we say it's much more than a plan and just words on a page, but really a way of how you work to get things done. In our timeline, where we are in the process. So we're just completing that engagement process. And so you can recall this past fall, we were with the council, with all of you in our strategic planning workshop. You helped set us on a path for doing some engagement. And now we're here to share those results so that we can get into our plan development phase. And still on target to wrap up this spring. So looking to complete this process and bring you a draft plan in May. So getting into the engagement results, again, we had some goals that helped to guide this process, and it was about doing intentional and inclusive engagement, providing, doing engagement, which would help to provide you all with insights that strengthen alignment in both your internal teams and in your partnership with the community. And then ultimately resulting in a plan that helps staff, leadership, and the community members understand, feel connected to the city's vision and priorities and values, and just really serve in guiding your organization and community going forward. The council shared with us lots of different stakeholders that we should be engaging with. And so, and there was, sorry, just to back up there for a second, we engaged with all of these folks, and we'll get more specific here in a moment, but there was also a strong desire to engage with the school district and have a youth focus to this. And so it's been really inspiring and fun to hear what the students had to say and the youth in your community. And so we'll be able to share some insights on that as well. So just looking at the different ways that we engaged here, you can see it's been broken down into these 3 different areas: those we engaged in person and online, and then in a couple other ways. And your staff, while our team has really been supporting the engagement strategy, your staff have been out, as well as members of the council, reaching out to your networks, really doing the hard work of the engagement. And so there were engagement boards at both the library and the pool. There was an RCC holiday lunch event. Some youth focus groups happened with the Chamber Youth Leadership Group, the West Albany High School Leadership Class, and then the South Albany High School Leadership Class. Staff were engaged through a lunch and learn event. And there were council interviews that were conducted, our workshop that we did. So those were some of the in-person opportunities. Online, the community survey received almost 1,700 responses, and then there were about another 90 responses for the staff survey. There was information available on the city's website. There were targeted emails that went out. There were lots of social media posts, which the council also helped to share. And then it was also promoted in the school district email to all families. A couple other tactics that were used. There was a question of the week campaign that really drove a lot of those questions, actually ended up driving responses directly to the full survey. So people may have commented on the question of the week, but then they were like, and we think we'll also just share more and complete the entire survey. So we saw a lot of traffic from that tactic. There were fact sheets, flyers, and other materials at city facilities. And then last, the council custom survey links were really helpful in driving engagement. So who we heard from, this just kind of gives you a sense of the full community survey responses, over 1,500. And then with the questions of the week, that's where it got to almost that 1,700 mark. And you can see the various weeks, the response numbers there in the blue boxes. And then the number of participants at the various in-person events are listed over there on the right-hand side of the slide. So anyhow, that just gives you a flavor of the numbers of folks that we heard from in the engagement process. Here are just a few pictures and snapshots that staff captured at those events, and just the folks engaging and students engaging. And as far as, okay, so this engagement was happening in these different places, but who we heard from, so we couldn't gather this information on everybody. But for those when we were doing the online survey, we were able to ask some questions about demographics, and not everybody chose to respond, but we did receive some data around who was filling the survey out. And so you can just see a range of ages in the survey itself. But again, you can see how like the youth representation was not very high. So being able to do those targeted opportunities at the high school and through the chamber were valuable, because a lot of folks in that age demographic aren't necessarily willing to participate in an online survey. As far as the racial demographics, you can see how it's primarily white in the response rate, but you can see there are some other races that are represented in that chart. And then on it tends, and this is common with every survey, that there tends to be more women who take a survey than men, but there were quite a few folks that preferred not to identify. So so that just kind of gives you a flavor of who in the community we heard from the survey specifically. As far as, oh, and one other thing I'll mention on demographics. So that you guys, the council had some custom links that were sent out. And through those custom links, we could see that one of the unique things with those was that Albany, your traditional social media channels, we tended to hear from an older audience, but by the council sending out those custom links, we were able to kind of segment that data and see that it did help us to reach some of the younger demographics in your community. And so that was really beneficial. So when you're thinking about lessons learned and your engagement through this process, the council reaching out directly to their networks really helped to see a more diverse survey sample. So kudos to you all for making that effort. As far as what we heard through the results, there were 4 themes that came through just really strong. And these are listed in priority order. So first priority is just improved condition of the roads and traffic in general traffic improvements. The second item is housing affordability. And third is a thriving downtown. And the thriving downtown, we'll talk more about it later, but it's really one that people point to for not just kind of an economic indicator, but something that shines through on community identity for Albany specifically. And then the last one is community safety. And so there's just there's a target or a desire to focus on improving what you have. Oops, sorry, bouncing around here. Okay, so in this, what did we hear? These top priority areas. So those are kind of the overarching themes for the vision. But as far as when you're thinking about potential like vision focus areas, there's these 5 that rose to the top. And again, condition of roads and flow of traffic, economic development and job opportunities, both housing availability and affordability. So that one is an area where I wouldn't say there's a kind of a split in your community as far as people want it all. They don't just want like affordable housing units. They also want to see single family development opportunities and everything in between. Public safety, and then infrastructure, having strong sustainable infrastructure, water, power, waste systems. In the vision focus area of transportation and mobility, the 3 things we heard most frequently in the outreach were around improving road conditions and pavement maintenance, enhancing traffic flow and reducing congestion, and then adding or improving sidewalks and pedestrian crossings. So over and over, the comments were around just like kind of just some basic needs in connecting neighborhoods, making it safe, easy to get around town, and having good roads. Again, the top priorities for housing affordability, I already kind of touched on this, but there's a desire to increase that workforce housing, the diversity of options, high density to help improve affordability, but also in kind of direct contrast to that, a desire to slow high density housing and focus on single family homes. So you guys want it all. And that's not necessarily unique to Albany, but I think it's just maybe speaks to what you have in maybe in your housing production strategy of like people want to see movement in all of these areas, not just focused on one type of development. As far as economic development, what did we hear? Support local and small business and startups. That local small business it's not just important to your economic base, but also, again, it's really important to community identity. I think we heard a lot of comments about the small business community and how important that is for there to not be vacant storefronts in the downtown, and people like to have those local shopping options. In addition to that, that's not the only thing. So we also need good paying jobs so that people can shop at those places. And so we also heard about attracting new business and good paying jobs. Again, infrastructure comes up in a couple areas, but it does come up in economic development. And it's about improving infrastructure to be able to support business growth. I think we talked about this at the council workshop. And then also continue to revitalize and promote downtown. Again, it's a big part of that community identity. And then make sure that there's some type of investment in workforce training and the partnerships that help to develop the workforce. Not only do we want high-paying jobs and we want to attract companies, but those companies need to hire people. So continuing that work and investing in people as well. Around community safety is a big, broad topic. So a couple things that we heard over and over again that contribute to a safe community are addressing the needs of the homeless population and behavioral health needs. Again, that's something, even though the city doesn't have direct jurisdiction over all of that, and you may not be in that business, it's something that comes up over and over again for the community. And so thinking about how do you work in partnership to help improve or address some of those needs. Improving street lighting, crosswalks, and traffic safety. I think that one's fairly straightforward. Um, increase police visibility and community policing efforts. Um, and enhancing emergency response capabilities, so fire, EMS, disaster preparedness. And the last one in this vision focus area is about improving safety and maintenance in parks, trails, and public spaces. So that one kind of ties into number one in addressing homelessness, but people want to be able to go out to the parks and be on trails and public spaces and feel safe, and also making sure people's needs and the homeless population are being met. Okay, for parks and recreation, some of the topics that we heard in this area are around, are in this vision focus area, are around upgrading and maintaining what you have. So existing parks and playgrounds, that could be just making sure that there's clean restrooms, seating, shade, and just some basic park amenities in place. There is a desire to see expanded walking and biking trails, and really just increasing safety features. So again, there is this theme that also ties in with the community safety piece of just lighting, visibility, and police patrols or parks patrols. Some things that we heard, I think we wanted to just highlight the youth element of the engagement. And there's overall, the takeaway is that the priorities areas that youth talked about are directly in alignment with what was captured from the broader engagement. So youth want the same things. They also appreciate good roads and sidewalks and limited traffic congestion and addressing homelessness and parks, trails, and maintenance and opportunities for affordable housing. So those themes were all very consistent in what we heard from youth, but there was a slightly greater emphasis on more community spaces and activities for youth, which is not surprising. Teens like things to do, and I think we hear that in every community. And in that spirit of things to do, also shopping, restaurants, those are also things to do. So, and more community events. So that would be like the one unique thing that you hear from youth that you hear a little bit louder and stronger than you hear from some of the other groups. I want to pause there before I get into the staff survey data, but any questions about the community engagement or the approach? I have my colleague Ashley with me as well, who's been helping with leading all of the data analysis. So she's also here to support and answer any questions that you might have.
Council, any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Can we get a copy of this when you're done? Can we have this emailed to us? Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Council,
Any other questions?
Councilor McGee, Councilor Thompson, Councilor Newton.
I don't have any.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. Let's see. So staff survey results. Again, the staff survey results are a little bit of a smaller sample. However, there's going to be some additional staff engagement that happens as we continue on in the process. So I think we'll be able to make sure that everyone's well represented here. But you can see we did hear from all of the various departments in the city, and they were all able to highlight how they feel about the culture and the direction. And so I think some of the charts here really highlight, so this one on the right, how often do challenges such as staffing shortages, outdated process, or unclear procedures affect your ability to do your job effectively? And I think the responses here really highlight and tie back to some of the things we talked about in the workshop in the fall of just you guys have a very lean organization, and it's been, there's some process and staffing numbers that haven't changed in quite some time. And so being able to think about leaving space in this strategic plan, first of all, to have really clear priorities in doing a strategic plan will be important for the organization. And then also to be able to leave space for, or make sure we take into account some of the capacity challenges or just space for process improvement in general could be something important to consider. As far as the workplace culture, and again, I think this will play into the development of values, but also some of those things at the bottom, reactive, over extended, score a little higher than you might want. And again, thinking about the importance of this strategic plan and having clear priorities will be really important so that you can get out of that mode of just being reactive and really have clear messaging around what it is that you want to focus on as a city and as an organization, and then being able to move in that direction. The collaborative and supportive, I think those ones are really important to acknowledge as well, because I think that supports getting a lot of the work done and carrying the workload that they have. So I think that's important to note. As far as the values, again, you can see the charts, the red bars or orange bars there highlighting that these resonate with the daily work. And so the values were rated really high. I think some of the feedback we received in asking some of the questions around values were that they resonate, but there's a lot to remember, and they're a bit wordy, and maybe staff would just like to simplify them, but they're on the right track with maybe some added emphasis around community engagement, partnership, and accountability. As far as focus areas where the staff feel like there's highest priority, I think there's certainly some, again, alignment around some of these topics like infrastructure. That's a really important one. Again, you're hearing from staff on strengthening internal operations. So things like communication, collaboration, process improvement, those are things I already touched on. Finance, human resources, use of technology. When you think about being really lean in your organization, these are things that are really important to really make the most of what you have. And that requires leaving some space for staff to update some of those processes in addition to moving council priorities forward. Also investing in staff development and retention. The work doesn't happen without the people. And so making sure that the people are being taken care of and they're staying is really important. And then improving, again, I think your staff is very service minded and they want the experience that people have with the organization to be really positive. And so we heard that is a really high priority for them, in addition to the alignment of these other things around public safety, economic development, and housing opportunities. Housing opportunities, that we're doing some strategic plans in other cities right now, and we're hearing that same thing from staff. Staff need places to live too. And so I think they want typically the same things that the community want, in addition to making sure that you've got strength in your organization to continue delivering service. So lots of alignment across the board. Some key takeaways here. Let's see, what haven't I touched on already? Again, staff and community members are aligned, and the top priority being infrastructure. Again, culture feels supportive and collaborative, but again, overextended and reactive. We talked about the values, some good direction on how to update those. And then internal priorities would include increasing staffing, strengthening internal operations. So 54% of the respondents shared challenges related to those topics. So additional engagement, as I mentioned at the onset, I think would be important for the process, again, to make sure that there's buy-in for the direction that we're moving forward in, and just making sure that staff feel aligned with the mission, vision, values as we continue to move forward. So, draft strategic plan framework, how things are coming together. So you have the mission, which will be zeroing in on a statement of your purpose and why you exist. Your vision is your destination over the next 5 to 10 years. The values will be updated to be the lens through which you work. So again, we're not seeing any dramatic changes that need to happen to the values, other than maybe simplifying them a bit. The vision areas that will be those 10 to 20 year areas in the plan that both align with the mission and advance the overarching vision. Those goals will be your medium term 3 to 5 year pieces that align with those priority areas. And then your tactical objectives will be the 1 to 2 year items that describe how you advance each of your goal areas. So following that structure and framework that you're accustomed to seeing. We're working on developing your mission statement, but I think one of the key things we wanted to check in with the council on tonight was, do we feel like these themes are on track? So the mission for the purpose of the organization, the themes that are emerging across all of the engagement are supporting high quality of life for residents, the city being reliable and trusted, being strategic when thinking about future planning, focusing on the foundation, on delivering foundational public services really well, and departments that are connected, informed, collaborative, and focused on solutions for the community. So these, again, we're not in the exercise of wordsmithing a statement tonight, but just making sure that these themes resonate with the council as far as the purpose of why the city organization exists. We just want to make sure that we're in sync and you don't feel like this feels like it's hitting the mark and we're not missing anything. So any feedback on these themes?
Council, do you have anything? Councilor McGee? Councilor Newton?
No, I'm interested to learn more though. Just taking this all in.
Okay.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. The vision statement. So I feel like this is one where you want it to feel more aspirational and your stretch. So while the mission is really anchored in purpose, and your why, the vision says it kind of defines your what and your aspiration for the next 5 to 10 years. So it should feel like that stretch goal, if you're familiar with that term, something you're reaching for. So the themes that emerged here is a city where families feel safe. Again, this is really in alignment also with the purpose and the mission, but those foundational public services, make sure that there's a focus on doing that well before expanding into other services or amenities. That was a clear theme. Being trustworthy, transparent. Residents enjoy those amenities can enjoy amenities without having to leave town. So people want Albany to be a place where it has a little bit of everything, kind of has it all. That feeling of neighborliness, that small town unique character. So I think people feel connected and they want to continue to feel connected and they want to have that strong community identity, which a lot of people, again, tied into how connected the neighborhoods are or just their network of people. And then also that identity and highlighting some of the attributes of downtown and how that makes it feel very like small townish. Let's see, the other items here, infrastructure that keeps pace with your growth, clean and vibrant public spaces, and that strong local balanced economy, rooted in small business, but recognizing that there's also, it's important to have living wage jobs, and then connected neighborhoods. So this is the aspiration for what everybody wants. Again, anything missing there? Does that feel like it's
Pretty
on
solid
track at
list.
this stage in the process?
Looks like a pretty solid list. Council, do you have anything? Councilor Newton?
Yeah,
Nope,
so,
I'm still just taking this in.
yeah. So these themes are what you all gathered. This is your summary of all the comments, right? Is that what
Yes.
I'm looking at? Yeah.
Yeah, so from across all the in-person
Okay,
events,
okay.
and all of the online engagement, this is a synthesis of the
Okay.
themes that came up over and over again when we asked people, what do you want Albany to be, or what's most important to you as we move forward in the future? And these are the themes that emerged there. And so what you'll see the next iteration of this, again, we'll continue to do some engagement with staff and we'll take these themes and revise them into a statement. So when you see the draft plan, you'll be able to see that draft statement and see how that comes together.
Let me check with Councilor
But at this
McGee.
stage, it's helpful to know if you see any major things missing.
Councilor McGee and then Councilor McLeod.
I don't have anything.
Councilor McLeod.
Thank you. So these vision themes for the next 5 to 10 years Are these items that were indicated by respondents thinking that this is not where the city currently is and where it would like to be? Or are these items that indicate that the city is in these places and they want the city to continue being in these places? Or is it a combination of the both?
It's a combination of both, because I think it's hard to say exactly what the mindset is when people are responding to the questions. And so I think in some instances, people, and again, you can, when we're reading through all of the details of the analysis, some people are like, I like this about my community and I want it to stay this way. And others are like, you need this, we need to work harder on this. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
So how can we know then, or is it included somewhere else in the survey?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was just asking, how do we know if it's one or the other for each respondent?
Yeah, so when you get into the goal, to the vision focus areas, so those 5 overarching buckets that I talked about, that's where we'll continue to explore the data in more specifics. So all of these vision themes also tie into those vision focus areas. And that's where, in the development of the actions, where you can discern, like, okay, we heard, this comment however many times over and over again, and it's something that we need to explore. So through conversations with staff and more analysis of the data, we try to get a sense of where is it that the work actually needs to happen in the different areas, and that's really what informs those. If you recall back to the framework, those tactical objectives, and even in the vision areas, that's where we're digging into that data to figure out what are the medium term goals for the 3 to 5 years, and then what are those tactical things that will happen in 1 to 2 years. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Please proceed.
Okay. Again, the draft values, these are, we're still working through this, and this will be one that we test with staff, especially because they are the ones who they're really using the values to guide their service delivery and the systems that they use internally. So again, the current values, people said they really strongly resonated. They just need a little bit of, maybe they need to be a bit more succinct. And so we've got some ideas here proposed around how they might be distilled down into a shorter list. But again, we'll continue testing these through the engagement with staff to make sure that we get it right.
Thank you.
And then here you can see the vision area themes, how those are coming together. We will continue working with the organization to refine these further, but it's around roads and mobility, economic development, housing availability and affordability, community safety, parks and recreation, and then a strong and connected organization. So these are, again, this is where we'll be looking at that data in more detail to figure out what was it that people said, where we need to do some work. And that's what will help us to frame the plan.
I really like the fact that you added availability and affordability together. I like that. Because everyone I've seen from other cities, even at the state level and the local, federal level, it's affordability, but availability is important for all of this to happen successfully.
Yeah, and it was a very strong theme in your engagement. It was very evenly, the comments were very evenly split, so it felt like the right way to characterize it.
Thank you.
So currently, your current strategic plan has these 4 vision areas, and in this new plan, and the proposed plan, we're looking at potentially 5. And again, we'll put the draft together, and you'll be able to see how all the pieces intersect. But at this stage in the process, we're looking at reliable and sustainable infrastructure, a healthy economy, a safe and resilient community, connected and engaged community, and a high-performing government. So in the next steps, to keep the process moving forward, we're going to be hosting a staff action planning workshop on March 13th, where we'll be diving deeper into the details of the data to put together a draft that the council will see. We'll have some follow-up department meetings as we need in March and April, and then be working on drafting the mission, vision, and values and the whole plan to get all those pieces put together. You can anticipate us coming back to you in April with that draft, so you can see all of the details and all the pieces, and have some time again to where we'll be able to share it with you. You'll get it in advance. You can read through it, ask a lot of questions, give your feedback, and then be able to make any changes or adjustments to the plan and to bring it back to the council the following month. So a couple more steps before we complete the process. But again, I just want to leave space to see if you have any feedback at this stage, or any thoughts about or any questions about the engagement results.
Council? Go ahead, Councilor Smith.
I'm encouraged to see that there was one consistent comment through all of the results, regardless of the question or the audience. Roads.
Yes.
Improve the roads. So,
Local roads, right.
thank you to everyone who responded to the survey. I can comment also on the vision and mission statements date back to either 2000 or 2001, which is 6 years before our first strategic plan. They were the result of an all-day workshop with the city council and the department heads that was very painful and resulted in 2 words changing in the mission statement. They could use a refresh. I like the proposed new themes for the strategic plan, and I've been making a little notes. I really like the fact that staff said that the values are too wordy. I know a wordy sentence when I see one.
Trust me, she does.
And while the thoughts are well worth capturing, they can be done more succinctly, probably, and thank you for helping with that. I was thinking on my own about how to drill this or boil this down into something that's sort of comprehensive as far as value statements. Instead of all these words, we could adopt the golden rule, which is my personal credo, or what I like to tell people when they are considering running for public office, and that is be nice and don't lie. That goes a long way. So things that I was just noting, listening to this report. I liked the comments from the youth about what they would like to see is about what it was when I was that age. So the progress from child to man has not changed all that much.
I was really happy to see that you went to the high schools. That's really important. I go to the high schools, middle schools, and young people, I talk about, what we're doing now is not for us, it's for you when you come back after starting your career, getting married, having family, going to the military, come back home to visit grandma and grandpa with the kids, and you say to yourself, hey, the mayor said I'd want to come back home, and I do. And so I think this is really great having them involved in the discussion. Job.
Kudos to your staff for making it happen.
Thank you both. Okay, looking forward to the next thing. Right.
Right, and I don't want to forget to underscore again that the council engagement was really valuable and helped to really boost the engagement numbers and reach a more diverse audience. So don't let that lesson be lost.
Thank you for that.
In this process. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're looking forward to the next steps. We'll see you all again next month, and I'm sorry, April. We'll see you all again in April and then again in May. So thank you so much.
Thank you much. Y'all have a good evening. Next on tonight's agenda, quarterly financial updates. Director Yeager and Gina Ambule, pages 2 through 8 in your packet.
Good evening. I am going to try to share my screen.
Director, Jen.
Oops, let me actually pull up my document. Tonight, Jen and I are here to present the second quarterly financial report for this year. We are right on track. So as you might have noticed on the graphs that we included with the council agenda or packet, our revenues they've peaked in November. That's when we get the majority of our tax payments. So it makes total sense for us to see an increase in there. Not quite as high as it was last year, but again, we had some revenues that got recorded later in the year through accounting transactions. So that is showing why it's a little bit lower in this biennium over higher in this biennium than last biennium. Our investments are still doing well, although rates are starting to go down a little bit, but we are hopeful that we'll continue to get some good returns on those. Expenditures remain driven by personnel costs. City as a service provider is very high in personnel as a proportion of our costs. We are still considering federal and state revenues and how many of those we're going to get. And so there are some grants that are coming through, and as much as we can, we're trying to use those to help offset some of the costs of some of the projects we're working on.
Can you go back one, please?
Maybe. Oops. Or not.
I didn't mean to cause that.
I am technically challenged today.
One of those days.
Okay, this one?
Yeah, I'm sick of this. Investments are performing better, good. Thank you.
Okay, so some of the challenges that we are seeing is that we continue to implement new programs and projects, and those cost money. And so some of them are great projects, but we have to make sure that we can afford those. New employees as they come on are requiring additional training and onboarding. As we go along, more and more people are eligible for retirement, and as that happens, we have newer people who are coming on. And then we're also seeing extended delivery times on equipment purchases. I don't know if Chief LaBelle is here, but a fire truck can take a year for us to get. We order it, and then it shows up a year later. And we see that with other projects too, other vehicles. I think we have seen that maybe with some ambulances and other types of bigger equipment. We have some great opportunities though. As you may have seen in the report, we talked about procurement and how this year we're already at 82% of formal solicitations of the total that we did last year. And so that means that more and more purchasing is coming up, and we are trying to really streamline our processes and the requirements so that we can get those through faster. And that's just for the formal solicitations. We also have other procurements that we are looking at, which are quotes or direct appointments, federal spending. We are really careful and we realize that we need to be good stewards of the city's money, and so we're trying to make sure that everything that we do is ethical and follows all the rules. HR is launching some new supervisor training, which has been really good. Everything from a class that's called Fierce Conversations to information about heat and how to treat employees when it's hot outside, which I think is over 80 degrees here in Oregon. And then just continuing to develop leadership and then also process improvement training. We are looking at some e-procurement potentially in the near future. We've started using Monday.com a lot more extensively for just tracking projects. We're using Monday Forms that will automate. One of the recent ones that we did is updated our travel policy, and we have a brand new form that we're going to be pushing out on March 1st, and just really trying to take advantage of all of those tools that are available to us. So what is all of this supporting? We're supporting completion of some different projects like the Lehigh Park, the Gary Street Safe Routes to School. In UB, I'm excited because we are starting the AMI meter conversion, which I can't wait for that to happen. We're restoring minimum staffing levels in departments, and we're focusing on strategic planning, which you just heard Sarah talk about tonight. And that's what we have. I don't know if anybody had any specific questions about anything that was in the council agenda packet, but we'd be happy to answer those.
Councilors? Councilor McGee?
I don't have anything. Thank you, Jenny.
Councilor Newton? I'm excited about the automated meter reading. I was 10 years ago, hell, 19 years ago, I worked on a project, I think I told you, at Badger Meter for Trumbull. And back then it was a guy would drive down the street and the meters would read. I hope this is a better process. You know, nobody's driving around in a little scooter taking meter readings in the winter. But I think that's pretty exciting to make that happen. So
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on in UB right now. We should be implementing the IVR next month, which is I always get this, interactive voice response system, so people can call a number and pay their bill.
Nice.
Yeah, that should be next month, so we're very excited about that
AI?
too. Pardon me?
Is that AI?
There's a script that will be set. It's basically pushing numbers on a phone pad, and then, they can still get assistance if they need it from a live person.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much for your report. Next is business from the council. I'll go left to right. Councilor Thompson? Councilor Van Dremelen?
Nothing tonight.
Councilor Smith?
Just, no.
Councilor McGee?
I will reserve my comments till Wednesday. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor McLeod?
Tonight, we have the Human Relations Commission Topic T event starting at 6 o'clock until 7:30 at the Riverfront Community Center. I'd encourage everyone to attend that. It should be a great opportunity to get to know your neighbors and meet some new people. Also, I have some concerns about the automated license plate reader cameras and the Democrat Herald article that came out. I'm concerned about the article and the public records request showing who accessed the ALPR data. It raises serious questions about transparency, accountability, and ensuring compliance with state law. I think that we still don't fully understand the long-term implications for privacy and community trust. Until we have clear safeguards and policies aligned with legal requirements, we should take a conservative approach to their use. I urge us to consider a temporary moratorium on expanding ALPR deployment until oversight is strengthened. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Tonight, I'll reserve my comments for Wednesday night. I have.
You forgot about me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Newton. You're not sitting over there.
It's
so-
okay. It's okay. I was gonna say one. I've been hearing a lot about this if her mayor contest, mainly from my fourth grader, who now thinks it's her get rich quick scheme, and that's how she's gonna get a bearded dragon. So, Mayor, if my daughter wins, I'm blaming you for a bearded dragon. She's like, if I get the money, I'm gonna be able to pay for this, so I can get a tank, I can get all the ingredients. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh no. So we'll see how she does. But so, what was the deadline of that? Like March 4th?
March the 2nd.
March the 2nd, okay. So I'm hopeful the other kids in Albany are entering it. I saw that Happy Valley put it in their newspaper, so we'll see if Albany holds it for another year coming. And then I also have some concerns, as you guys probably remember when we first, even voted on those license plate readers. I was the sole no vote on that, and still, I believe our data, it should be private. I want to, yeah. So I have some major concerns. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday. But yeah, that's all I have for you.
Good, thank you. As long as, about the If or Amer contest, I spent 4.5 hours at Memorial Middle School. Oh my gosh, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are all about it. So it was a really great day with them, but I'll talk more about it on Wednesday. Other than that, I'm done for the evening. City manager's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, Wednesday evening, we'll have an opportunity to go over the license plate readers in some depth. I did want to take a minute here to note that Sarah Singer-Wilson mentioned that the council's outreach really helped to boost our efforts to reach a broader cross-section. And you'll recall that Kayla injected a little bit of competition into our effort and said we'd have a little prize. So unfortunately, Kayla can't be here tonight as I give this prize out. And I would say that you know the term GOAT in sports, the greatest of all time. We're going to change that. It stands for Great Outreach for Albany Team. And I want to give this to the person who won that, who was most successful in reaching a broader swath of people to get their input. So to Councilor McLeod.
Is that it, Peter?
All I have.
And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting at 4:58 p.m. Thank you all. See you Wednesday.